What's up, my fellow box makers? This is a how-to for the Highpoint Side Rail Hinge with stay. I got this at my local Woodcraft, $21.99 for the pair, and it's a really nice hinge. Very solid, all brass, coated with epoxy. It comes with the built-in stay, and it's made in Taiwan, so it's really high quality. So let's take a look at what this looks like on a finished box. I'm working up a trio of mitered spline boxes over here with raised panel lids, and I got one done already, and it came out great. So let's take a look at what the hinge looks like. So here's one of the completed boxes. It's a quarter sawn maple with a red elm raised panel lid and red elm splines. So let's take a look at the hinge from the outside first. Nice, unobtrusive, very clean. There's another version of this hinge that has a box end that has a built-in stop. It doesn't have the stay, so it's a non-mortise version. But I don't think it looks as nice. You have to cut an extra little spacer groove above and below the hinge, and then you spend a lot of time making this really nice box, and then you have to put these gaps in it in the back, and I don't think it looks as nice. See it with it open here. Nice smooth action. There's the stays that you have to cut the mortises for. But all together, I feel like it gives it a super nice fit and finish. The hinges are really beautiful. So let's pause for a second and take a look at kind of the anatomy and the setup for these. So my box, as I mentioned, has a 1-inch lid. That's the depth of this part of the box. So the stay, the overall length of the stay is 1 7/8 inch. So with the hinge right here, I cut a 3/4 inch mortise into the top, and the remaining portion of the mortise for the stay is cut into the bottom. So because I have kind of a narrower top, the mortise is going to extend a little further, and you can kind of see that the stay is going to it's going to pass under the mounting hole. So it's okay because the mounting screw is only a 1/2 inch long. So what we have to do, and this is where the tricky part comes in, is that you have to carve out a little hollow down below inside the box underneath where the screw goes, so that the stay can reach its full depth in the box. Here's a shot of the instructions. They don't come with the hinge packaging. You have to go online and print them out. These instructions here cover both types. They cover the side rail hinge with the stop built in, and then they cover the type that I'm showing you right now, which is the one with the stay. So when you first read the instructions, it seems kind of intimidating. They actually mention buying a 1-inch 3/16 router bit and attempting to route on the edge of your stock a 1-inch deep mortise. And if anybody's ever tried to balance a router on the edge of thin stock and do delicate work, that seems really intimidating once you have a box completely constructed and the wood's delicate, and it's just not something that you really want to take on, and might scare you away from trying this hinge. But so I don't think this was written by a woodworker, because the easy way to do this is with a drill press and a chisel, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. It's pretty simple. So you can see here, I kind of made like a little depth chart for my specific installation, and that two 1/8 dimensions are just showing the sides of the hinge, and then put it here and kind of see what I need to do for my mortises. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do 3/4 inch mortise into the top, And I have a 5/8 inch dimension shown there because 1/8 plus the 5/8 gives me my 3/4. And then at the bottom, going to be drilling an 1.25 inch mortise into the bottom. All right, let's take a look at the layout for marking how to install the hinge. You can see I've got my stopped mortise groove that I routed into the side, and we'll go ahead and lay the hinge in and do some marking. So I just kind of set it in, make sure that it's touching all the way to the end of your stopped groove. And the first thing that you want to do is mark for your screw mounting holes, just so that we make sure that when we're doing our mortise, we're staying away from those. So you don't need to be super accurate. Just get the general location of where the screw hole is going to be. You might want to be a little bit more accurate with the rear, because that's where you're going to index off of for starting your mortise into this bottom piece here. So once you've done that, you can just kind of hand sketch them across. Don't need to be too crazy about it. All right, got those marked up. Let me grab my ruler. So the mortise is going to start 1/8 inch from the rear screw hole, and this is all in the instructions. So you want to go ahead and mark 1/8 inch from the rear screw hole. Then give yourself a general center line down through your groove, so that we can basically have a place to aim the drill bit. Again, this doesn't have to be super accurate, just the general center line. All right, let's take a look and see if you can see those markings. All right, so now we're going to cut a 3/4 inch mortise. Let me mark the end of where the mortise is going to be. All right, so we're going to go over to the drill press, and we're going to use a 3/16 brad point bit, and we're going to go ahead and drill out the mortise. All right, we're over here at the drill press now, and we're all set up and ready to drill. A couple things I just wanted to mention real quick. When we were marking for the screw holes, we weren't marking where we were actually going to drill the screws at this time. Basically what we were doing is just marking where to stay away when we're making our mortise. You're not in danger of really getting close to the front screw mounting hole when you're cutting this mortise, but you do have to be careful that you don't get too close to the rear screw mounting hole. You're starting the mortise 1/8 of an inch away from your rear screw mounting hole. So be doubly sure before you start drilling that you're not going to get too close to that. Make sure you start a full 1/8 inch away. So you might want to line up your bit, making sure that you're going to hit that the start line of your mortise. As I mentioned, I'm using a 3/16 inch brad point bit. I've got my depth marked on the bit already. You're not really in danger of going too deep when you're drilling into the bottom of the box lid. The bottom of the box. But you do need to be make sure you're extra careful when we go to drill into the top of the lid. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start drilling here.
box slightly forward and line up your brad point again. For your next drill, should take you about four holes to cover the mortise. That's what we're going to look like when we're done. And we're ready to go over to the bench and start cleaning this out with the chisel. Alright, so before we get to cutting here, just one more time I wanted to give you kind of a glimpse of like x-ray vision into what the mortise in this box is going to kind of look like on the inside. So I marked it with tape, the outer edges of the mortise here. And basically in the box, this clear space is where the mortise is going to be. And you can see that we've already drilled down and cleared out this much of the wood. We're going to go back with the chisel and clean up the sides. And then we're going to need to mortise out inside the left edge here, a little bit of recess. And let's take a look real quick again about what the purpose is for that and how the hinge will fit once we're done. Real quick, the black line, that's your screw, and that's where you're going to be being careful to stay away from. I said before, it only goes a 1/2 inch into the stock, so chiseling out underneath it's not going to be an issue. That's roughly what we're making. A space for the stay to go that far into the box and have a little recess underneath so it can fit. Alright, we're ready to get cutting with the chisels at the bench. Here's what you're going to need. 1/2 inch chisel for clearing up the sides of the mortise. This is a 1/8 inch chisel for cutting that small hollow at the bottom rear for the stay, and drill bit with a 3/16 inch bit to help you clear waste. You also might want to have your shop vac handy for sucking out any chips and stuff that's in the hole. Here's what we're starting with, and we're going to get to cutting. Alright, we're ready to start chopping. It's a good idea to take some painter's tape and protect the finished portions of your box, because you're going to be pulling a drill and a chisel in and out of this multiple times, and you're likely to nick or brush up against the side at some point. So let's get going here. If your chisels are nice and sharp, which these were recently sharpened, you shouldn't need a mallet. Maybe once you get down into the bottom portion of the hole, you might need a hammer or a mallet. Once you start getting some resistance with your chisel, that's when you go to the
drill to clear the chips out. That's our progress so far. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. All right, once you kind of can move the chisel fairly easy up and down, and you kind of hear a thudding noise, you'll know that you're at the bottom of the mortise and you can stop clearing the sides. All right, once you feel like you've got your mortise relatively cleaned out down to the bottom, at that time, well, just to mention, you see my mortise it looks pretty rough. This isn't a precision mortise by any means. You're not going to be, inserting a piece of wood that you're gluing up inside of this. You're just making a hole for the stay to go into. That's it. You can see I did get a little bit, be careful when you're using the drill bit. I got a little kind of crazy there and started creeping in a little bit on my rear screw mounting hole, but this is a hardwood, and I'm not too concerned that there's not enough material left to hold the screw in. So at this point, we can actually go ahead and put our hinge on to see what it's going to look like. All right, let's try our hinge for the first time. All right, that's what we're at now, and you might be telling yourself that, hey, that looks probably deep enough, for the lid to fit over it. The problem that happens though is when you go to close the lid, it's actually pushing the hinge forward, or the stay forward, and if you don't cut out that bottom recess, you won't get a smooth action, and it'll start rubbing on the front of the slot here and get hung up and make your box not open and close smoothly. All right, so now we're going to go to our 1/8 inch chisel to cut the little recess at the back base of the mortise. I took the X-ray tape off so I could show you. I'm basically aiming. You're going to need to kind of figure out your depth looking into the mortise from above, and mine actually ends up being kind of easy because I've got the spline, and I'm going to be starting my hollow right at basically the bottom of the spline here, and cutting out until I hit the bottom of the mortise. So you might want to take a piece of tape, depending on how what kind of depth you've gone with for your stay into the bottom of the box. Maybe mark it from the outside so you can kind of just eye up where you're aiming for inside the box to start cutting that back hollow. And then once you're ready, you're going to do a combination of using the angled portion of the chisel and the flat portion of the chisel. see which method's working best for you. I think I'm going to start with the angle portion. You can really one-hand it, support the box so it doesn't slide. Get the point at the elevation you want to start, and you're going to be kind of giving it almost like a levering motion. Your force is going to be kind of going in an arched fashion down like that. And if, like I said, if you have a nice sharp chisel, you don't need to go crazy. You're not getting a ton of depth. I think my x-ray was a little bit exaggerated. You're probably only maybe an eighth to a little bit more than an eighth you're trying to carve out of the back. Once you've got a little progress made, you can go to your drill. And if you want, you can kind of angle it and use the tip of the drill to almost help yourself kind of start routing out that bottom portion. Just be careful, that you're not, wrenching it inside too hard or going to the sides too much, and you don't want to get into the good wood here. That's not going to be covered up by the hinge. All right, you can go ahead and drop your hinge back in and check your progress after you feel like you've added a little bit of depth to the bottom back. And you can see already that the stay is sitting much lower in the slot. And you can kind of check the action on it a little bit. So I just checked mine, and I'm gonna have a 3/4 inch mortise, and I think I'm right at about 5/8 depth right now, remaining for the stay. And that's good because, like I said, you're going to need this thing's going to move around a little bit in the top as the box lid is closing, and you need extra room so that you get a smooth action and the you don't have your lid catching as you go to close it, because the lid's going to be pushing down on this at one point, forcing it forward. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop and cut the other side out, and then I'll show you a couple things with the lid, and then we'll be ready to basically lay the box lid on top and check the action on the hinges. All right, we're back over here at the drill press, and we're ready to drill out the mortise in our box top. This is where you're going to want to be really careful that you don't have any mistakes. Make sure you've measured everything twice. I've marked on my drill bit so that I'm using a brad point bit, same one again, 3/16, and you make sure you account for the point of the drill bit too. I've marked mine so that the point of the drill bit, the brad point, will go no closer than 1/8 inch to the outside of the box top. Not a bad idea to go ahead and take your box top, hold it up to the tape, see where it's going to, how deep it's going to be. Let's see here. Looks good. Got that 1/8 inch of clearance, and we're ready to drill. Just a little bit. I've got a little piece of wood supporting my top here because it's a raised panel and I want it to stay level when the drill press is pushing down. I didn't do as good a job with my spacing this time. Now the bit's trying to pull into the previous hole. It's going to take me a second to get this sorted. Alright, well, I got it sorted out. Definitely a bit uglier job drilling here, but now it's time to take it back over to the bench and clean that up with the chisel. Remember on this one, if you got a miter top like mine, don't go wailing on it too hard with the chisel and a mallet, because there's not a lot of material and glue holding this joint together here. So go easy on it. Take your time. All right, got the mortises in the top, all the edges all cleaned up. One of them came out really nice, and then that one that I kind of messed up at the drill press came out a little funky looking, but it'll work. One thing I forgot to mention, or I might have said it before, but there's no additional hollow needed in the top mortises for the stay. All you do is clean up the sides and you're good to go. All right, so I laid the hinges in to the bottom mortises, and I'm gonna put the top on, and we're gonna check the action, check the play. nice and smooth. I'm happy with it. It'll work. One thing I forgot to mention is that the instructions did have one good point, and it said to put a little piece of double-sided foam tape underneath the hinge before you tighten it down. And it's nice because it lets you kind of adjust the height if you need a little height adjustment in the depth of your hinge, and it also gives it a nice soft feel when the box top closes, and it lets you also adjust the gap in your lid between your lid and your base. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and mark and drill out the mounting holes. All right, so we just go ahead and lay the hinge in, make sure it's nice and tight and flush at the front. And I'm using a safety pin to make the initial marking. Then I'll come follow behind with a nail and just make sure that it's nice and centered and ready to go back to the drill press. Come back with the nail. Add a little bit more depth to the hole, to the marking. Throw the hinge back up one more time. All right, great, looks good. It's not a bad idea to maintain the orientation in the left to right. These hinges should be made all identically, but once you've marked your screw holes, you might want to keep the bottom part of the hinge in the bottom and the top part in the top. All right, back to the drill press. All right, back over at the drill press, ready to drill the screw mounting holes. I've got a 1/16 bit in the press, and it is taped off at 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch plus the 1/8 depth of this mortise right here gives a total depth of 5/8. Perfect amount for the 1/2 inch screw to not bottom out. So definitely make sure you've got your holes marked and sufficiently indented that you're not going to get much of any bit walk at all, because you want to keep these pretty precise to the marks. So let's go. All right, those both went in nice and straight, and I'm going to get the rest of these drilled out, and then we'll go show you how to put the screws in. All right, we're ready to drive the screws. Now, if you're driving into hardwood, which, likely you've made these boxes out of hardwood, the screw holes are going to be pretty tight. But luckily they give you 3 extra screws in each package. You're going to want to take like 1 or 2 of those and just use them to basically ream out the holes, you're going to screw them all the way in and then back out. So that screw that you're using to basically cut the threads for the screw hole is probably going to get a little bit marred up, so you won't be able to use that one. But that way, when you go to drive the screws in, finally when you're going to mount the hinge for the final installation, you're going to want to wax that again, but it should go in much easier now that you've kind of tapped a hole with an initial screw. So I'm gonna remove the hinge for this just so there's no like slipping and denting or nicking the hinge. One thing to note, you do need, when you go to do your final installation, you need a pretty long screwdriver because you have to get by the stay and down into the mounting hole. This is a 8-inch #1 screwdriver. I think it was, I got it on Amazon for like $8. It's actually made by Klein. I don't know why it says Vaco on it, but made in the USA. It's a nice screwdriver. So let's give it a try. Take your time, go slow, keep it nice, the screwdriver nice and firm onto the screw so you're not slipping. You might want to overdrive just a tad and then go ahead and back it out. There we go. One done. A bit more wax on there. Lined up for this guy. They really do go pretty smooth once you got them waxed. Alright, well, once you've tapped all your screw holes, you can go ahead and lay your hinges in one more time if you want to do one final check, but you're ready to finish the box. And after you're finished, when you come back around to do the final installation, screw your hinges down. I mentioned before using a little thin piece of double-sided foam tape underneath the hinge. I think I did just the bottom portion of the hinge on the first box, and what this does is it allows you just to get a little bit of height adjustment in your hinge height. You know, if you need to figure out the gap or the basically the closing in the front. If you raise up if the hinge is a little bit higher in the back, you can get maybe a tighter seam in the front. But play with it, see what you need. I believe I tightened mine down pretty far. It also gives it a nice soft close when it closes. So there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you feel confident about trying to install this hinge type. And sorry for the length and the kind of the roughness of this video, but hope you learned something. And happy woodworking. Bye.